strapped in. I feel like I'm about to get ejected out of an F-16 fighter jet.
God, this car feels un-freaking believable. I am having an absolute blast. With the sun rising over beautiful Lime Rock Park for the final day of competition with GRIDLIFE came our first proper glimpse of the product we had worked so hard on the night before. We had built a race car in just 6 hours in complete darkness with a handful of parts, and we did it with our friends, having a good time and making memories along the way. As our team reveled in the Mini's final form, Corey and I attempted to shake last night's exhaustion to prepare ourselves for the busy day ahead. With a fully built car in front of us, there wouldn't really be any more excuses if we didn't perform as well as we wanted to. We would have to be in our best form, and we were both chomping at the bit to get out there and see what the Mini could do. But before we did, we noticed a buzz around the cupper. Our friends and competitors in the paddock were excited for us, just because we had actually managed to finish the build. But after the initial morning excitement, it was time for both of us to get serious. With an early 9 a.m. first session and a nice cold track for us to take advantage of, as well as a car that so many people had worked so hard on the night before, we made a plan for the day. Before we could get out on track though, we had one more big hurdle to get over before we broke in the Mini Cupper, running the car back through GRIDLIFE's tech inspection following our overnight build. And I'll spare you the details of me explaining what's about to happen here. Before I go out on the track, I'm gonna have to stop at the end of pit lane to allow the staff to do an on-the-fly tech inspection of the car just to make sure everything is up to code. Should we fail or have anything that raises concern, I have to bring the car back into the paddock before getting the car out on the actual track, which could definitely end up potentially costing us some valuable track time. As the minutes ticked by, I started to get a little bit anxious about getting out on the track. Of course, I wanted the car to be safe and up to code for competition, but I was all too aware of the fact that every single minute spent in pit lane was a lap that was missed out on the track. Every second felt like an hour, but finally we got the okay to send the Cupper out on the track for its very first shakedown as a true race car. All right, we are on track in the Mini Cupper. I gotta get the brakes up to temp because we got real pads now. I gotta get the tires up to temp. We have about a half a session. I'm gonna feel the car out. It feels really, really good right now, I gotta say. That was a dime, which is fine. Always remember to clear random things out of your interior. I'm just gonna get everything hot, and then I'm gonna go for a flyer out the gate, because I don't know how much time I'm gonna have in this car, and it feels fine right now. All right, let's go. First lap at Lime Rock, in the Mini Cupper, fully built. Braking hard at the 3 to get some heat in the brakes. This car feels unbelievable. And checkered flags waving. I have to go in the pits. As I'm doing a pretty poor job of hiding here, that was pretty tough. A cool track, free of drift debris or overheated tarmac, is kind of your best chance to set a fast lap in time attack. I was all too aware of the fact that I had missed out, but honestly, I think it was probably a good thing. Caught up in the competition, I definitely would have absolutely sent it if I had the opportunity. Not a good way to shake down the car for Corey, and definitely not a good way to make sure that everything was bolted and torqued properly after the chaos of last night. Well, the car feels unbelievable. The only con to that session is I did not get a lap in. I got one warm-up lap and then the checkered wave. So I didn't get a time in, but I do think the car feels awesome. It gave me the time to shake the car down. So whether it's me or Corey going out next, whatever it may be, I know all we have to do is, I think they gave us one bolt check in the back, but I know now that the car is dialed. The brakes feel unbelievable considering they're fresh on the car, brand new. This is an awesome car. I'm so excited to see what it does over the course of the day, over the next 2 sessions. This is probably going to be where most of the drivers set their best times. First session's the coolest, the drift cars haven't gone out yet. But I'm confident in this setup that if we get pretty comfortable in session 2, this thing can put in a crazy, crazy lap. So stay tuned.
Good car.
But before we got too lost in the heat of the battle, we took a minute to remind ourselves why we were here in the first place. To partake in the tight-knit community that is GRIDLIFE Time Attack. GRIDLIFE isn't just about the cars in the competition, it's about the people, and our Sunday Cup class is possibly the champion of camaraderie and friendship out on the circuit. We went and checked in with our competitors to see what they thought of our cupper, but also to ask them one simple question.
Why don't you tell us, why do you love Sunday Cup?
Because it's the absolutely most accessible version of Time Attack. So there's nothing else like it for getting access to this competitive environment at this low cost. These are cars that you can daily drive, take them to the track. How do I know that? Because that's what I do.
Oh dude, I love Sunday Cup just because it's so accessible. Like I was in a faster class at one point and I was realizing my budget was just going up and I wasn't getting much faster and I actually cared more about driving. So that's where I came down to a class that we're kind of limited on what we can do from a car, but from a driver perspective, all the competition is there.
All you from the time you get in the car. Exactly.
Yeah, dude, I would love to see you guys up there. I mean, it's so much about experience, and for me, it's like my first time at a lot of these tracks.
Right.
So
learning as you
go and trying to compete with these guys out here it's tough. But
and also another beauty of Sunday Cup. Tiny little cars, yeah, running some of the craziest tracks in the country. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, right
awesome.
here, Watkins, you know, these big name tracks. So no, I'm pumped to be here, having a great time.
So we may have missed the first session, but we now at least knew that the cupper was locked in, dialed, and ready to rip following our late night teardown and rebuild. The car was now primed and ready for Corey to go out and hit the track.
Strapped in, I feel like I'm about to get ejected out of an F-16 fighter jet.
We threw Corey into the fire again with a whole host of changes for him to get used to, but it was pretty clear that Corey was liking the cupper and its new precision instrument form. His times kept dropping and dropping and dropping as he leaned into the Bilstein coilovers.
All right, let's go for a deeper break into turn 1. Here I go!
Yep, Corey was definitely getting comfortable in the cupper. In its first real competition session, the car was doing just fine. Definitely a huge relief for us. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, the thing was sitting on the lot of a scrapyard. Now, it was out on a historic racetrack, setting flying laps, and we were in it just working to be faster and faster. This was Time Attack, and we were out there basking in it with a relatively small financial and time investment.
Ooh, that was amazing. This car is set up so well. That was a blast, but now the car's warmed up. We've only got 1 session left. I'm gonna turn the keys over to Danny because I think he's gonna be his personal best at Lime Rock in this thing because it is a scorcher.
I think you're right. On the warm-up lap that I did, I'm fairly confident that my personal best is a 106 in this equally slow car. I think that's going to go a lot faster. I just feel more comfortable.
I think you're gonna shave a couple seconds off of that.
Yep.
And you really just got a feel of it. I mean, you had that warm up and then it was boom checker. You really didn't get to see its potential.
I'm ready. I'm really excited.
But we're gonna get you a full session out there.
We'll see you soon.
Heading out for my first true laps in the fully built Mini Cupper.
Mini Cupper, another improvement up to the 106s now and into 7th place.
I wonder what they did to make more difference go down now.
I think part of it is the installation process. The rest of it is setting up the car, getting it dialed in, the camber, the caster, whatever else you can adjust. Tire pressure is a big deal, and driver confidence. working up to pace in a car that's new to them this weekend.
Yeah, and getting used to the adjustments.
Right. And all part of the plan.
So driving a different car in every single session, you know, obviously making improvements, but definitely a different car in every session.
God, this car feels freaking believable. I am having an absolute blast. I'm trying to focus, but I can't keep from smiling. Little jump. Yeah, baby.
There's the Mini Cupper car that we were talking about. The car.
Look at the wrap on it.
Yeah,
it looks
here
great.
At the track,
It looks fantastic.
Unbelievable, I think.
From what we saw in the morning versus what happened here, I mean, it looks so much nicer.
Yeah, and Cerise had caught up with them earlier to do that interview. It was early yesterday. Another pickup, a 106.350 for the FCP Euro team with the Mini Cupper car, showing how much you can do with a team behind it as well.
Trying to get up there with Mooncake.
And back about 0.7 of a second. Here comes Mini Cupper again. Another pickup to a 106.227, closing in on the 909.
Knocking on the door.
Braking hard at the 3. Holy sh! I think I can brake at the 2. I definitely can. I wish I had a little bit more time. One more session might be all the difference.
Pulling over and letting Mini Cupper go on by. Great looking livery on it too. Not only did they apply it here, it'd be funny if they designed it here too, but they didn't. But it just looks really good. They did a nice job at applying it. The car looks great up close. And it is hasty work, but not bad work by any stretch. It's really well put together. And mechanically, it's been running great. I'm going to commentator curse them right now just by saying that. But it's been rock solid so far, at least on the outward perspective.
Give me one more flyer, baby. Please no checkered. Checkered flag. I wanted that FL5, but I'm not going to get him. All right. Well, that concludes the on-track portion of the FCP Euro Mini Cupper. I'm sure we're going to have more to talk about, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I want to thank CRP Ryan, especially Corey for his legwork, and of course CRP Ryan for supporting us and everything we do at FCP Euro. And I most importantly want to thank FCP Euro and Mike Hidalgo, because as we mentioned to you guys, when we got this car, it was not as track ready as we thought, which we should have known being at a scrapyard. But Mike did an awful lot of work in a very short time span. He did a lot of work in a very short time span, and I'm really looking forward to coming back here at Lime Rock with Mike Hidalgo in the Mini Cupper and seeing how he can stack up, because he knows every nut and bolt of this car. All I know is, well, in the last 15 minutes or so of this car in full spec. Pull into pit lane, talk to the boys, and see what we ran for a time. I didn't kill it. Oh boy, here we go.
No, you knocked yourself down though.
I'm sure I did. What did I run?
106.2, I want to say.
Okay. I've gone a little fast.
You bumped yourself off of seventh out of seventh place.
All right. Well, with a little more time in the car, I'm pretty confident that I can knock that way. This thing feels awesome. It's so good. It's so good.
I'm blown away by this thing. It's ridiculous. I mean, like, the big factor here, I was just saying to these guys, is I'm used to torsion beam in the fit, which means everything in the rear axle is connected. So it's not going to move independently, whereas this being divorced, you can properly load it up. And I mean, you're used to much better designed cars than I am in the fit, but like you can actually load it up, and that's where I'm kind of having that learning threshold, right? Is learning how hard I can lean on this thing. I think on a day where there's a little less chaos going on and I'm a little more acquainted with this car, my personal best, like I said here, historically in the fit was 106 flat. I almost got that just now in this thing, just learning it. So 105, 104, if I could get in there with 100 horsepower, I'd be happy every day of the week. And like, if you wanted to duplicate this at home, yes, we put the hours in, we have the cage and all that, but ultimately, cut and dry, basically all you need is it's pads, it's discs, tires, wheels, a sway bar, coilovers, maybe some camber plates. But like, watching you out there, I think we're kind of sharing the same sentiment. This thing rules.
This thing is awesome.
Yeah.
It was just great to see it out there, and we were just watching you just going up that leaderboard with every lap. You're just cutting into the pack, You really took it from the back of the pack. That's where we were when the day started yesterday. To it's running mid-pack, and this is your first day driving this modified car. If you get a little bit more seat time, this could be a class leader.
The two of us were just, when you were out there, you're chopping seconds off, and I'm like finding little stuff here and there. It's just, it's a good car. I'm coming from I have an allegiance to the fit because I own one, I built it, I've been running it for 2 years, but like, this is probably the way. I'll just say it. It's faster in a straight line. I'm way more confident in the suspension, the drive dynamics.
And it looks really, really good out there too.
It looks much better. The CRP Rhine Orange, the FCP Euro Blue together as one. It's just, it looks right. It's awesome. All right, Corey. I believe you have roughly 12 hours to get home, so I think you're probably gonna want to hit the road sooner than later. We at FCP Euro have to thank you so much for your man hours, your wheeling of the Mini Cupper, and also, of course, CRP Rhine for allowing us to do this, supporting us, making this car something capable of doing all this in just such a short span of time. It's just, thank you so much.
Thanks to the FCP Euro team, everybody that was here at the track with us. We would not have been able to get this done without all hands on this, working on this, all through the afternoon and the evening, and everybody that worked on it before we even got here to get it set up for us.
It's dialed in. I'm blown away. Thank you so much. One of these days, we're gonna have to get you back up here, maybe in a little bit quieter of a day, and we'll have to see if we can cut that time down, because I feel like you got even
head
more
home,
in there.
But how about we just do straight
Rain
swap?
check?
I think we do straight swap. I'm going home. Bye.
Bye, Corey.
I'm taking the Cupper. I'm out of here. It's too much fun.